This lesson is designed as a quick start for animation in Edge and will cover such topics as importing assets, keyframes, properties, and a number of motion techniques in Edge. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. I'm going to open an Edge file containing a photo of a brick wall. And the plan is to have the word Edge fall into place here, the individual letters actually. And so we're going to need those letters. Those are the assets. Now, there are two ways of bringing assets into Edge. The first way is just to use File Import. There's an even neater way of doing it. I'm going to navigate to my Assets folder where I've got a bunch of images and I'm going to select them. And what you want to do is just drag them right onto the Edge stage. You can close the Finder or the desktop. And when the assets hit the stage, you'll notice that they appear here from the Assets folder because they know where they are. But the most important thing is these are elements. These are individual HTML divs. So there's a G, an E, and a D. And you'll notice that they're also on the stage. And what we're going to do is separate them and then put them in motion. So we got the G, the E, and the D. Just put them beside each other, sort of make the word Edge. But we need an extra E. So you twirl down the Assets folder in the library and just select the ESVG image and pull it to the stage as well. This tells you that assets can be reused. Now that we've done that, you can see that they are all there. And if you want to spell the word Edge in the layers, you just move the elements around. So you just take the E element and put it under D. E2, which is the second E, we can put that above the G. And now you can see that we've got the word Edge here. Okay, let's do a couple of things here. Hold down the Shift key and select each of the letters. Now, as soon as you select an item on the stage, the Properties panel lights up. This is the Properties panel, and these little diamonds here are keyframes. And you can change the location, the size, the opacity, the origin point, which is that little blue dot in the middle of each of the letters. You can rotate the letters, you can skew, scale. You can even set the source position. On the page, you can even put an interactive cursor on each of them, and you can even clip them. But we'll just stay with a simple thing like opacity. And I want you to just change the opacity to about 40%. And it looks like the letters are fading into the wall. Now what we're going to do is put the letters in motion. There are a couple of different ways of doing it. The first is to select the letter and give yourself a location keyframe. And a keyframe is nothing more than an indicator that something has changed its position or property. I'm just going to pull it up here so you can see them. And these tell you that it's going to translate on the X and the Y axis. In other words, it's going to be moving on the X and Y axis. Well, if you just want to move on one axis, then why have you got two? So what you do is to remove these properties, all you do is you hold down the Shift key, select them, and press the Delete key, and they're gone. Now, another way of moving them is just to right-click on the object, Control-click if you have a Mac, and there's an Add Keyframe in the context menu, and you can translate Y. And you see it now gets a Y keyframe. And if I want to move it up the stage, all I have to do is move the playhead, that's that yellow thing here, and just move the letter E up, or I can just scrub across the letter and it moves up and down. Undo, Command Z. Okay, what we're going to do actually is not even translate, just delete that. Let's put the playhead back to 0. Now there's a little thing here called the pin. And if you click it, you'll see that it turns blue, so that tells me the pin is active and there's a little blue pin above the playhead. Now what the pin does is pin the location. So if I move the playhead out to the 1 second mark, and then move the letter E up, you will notice that I get a transition strip. And if I pull the playhead back, you can see that it moves up. Now, what you can see from that is that when you use the mark for motion, the motion moves towards the playhead. Okay, let's remove that translation. We'll just delete it. And this time we're going to set the mark, move the mark out to the 1 second mark. That's what these are. This is how the timeline is measured. And we'll just move the letter E up. And if we rewind the movie and press the play, you can see that the letter E comes into play. So the mark is a wonderful, wonderful animation tool. Now to turn off the mark, all you do is just click the toggle pin button and it's off. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit here just so you can see what I'm doing. And we've got the E moving down, but what we want to do is give it a little bit more of a realistic motion. And that's what the purpose of this little puppy right here is. These are the easing properties. And what you do to apply easing to an object is you just select the transition strip, click the easing property. We're going to ease out, and let's give it an ease out bounce. So it's going to bounce into place. And let's see how that works. Oh, that works just wonderfully. Now I'm going to show you a little animation technique that is really just, well, it's killer. Click once on the transition strip here, come to Edit, Copy. Select the D and hold down the Shift key, select the G, hold down the Shift key, and select the E. So we do a multiple select. And you're going to go to Edit, Paste Special, Paste From Location, and you can see that the letters all fall in. Okay, we're going to undo that, Command Z. It's still sitting on the clipboard, so we can Edit, Paste Special, and we're going to paste to this location. And you notice that the letters all move, and we can stagger the letters just by simply moving the strips. So if we deselect the strip, we can take this strip here and put it there, and take this strip here and put it at the end of this one. And if we come to the start of the animation and press the space bar, the letters individually drop and bounce in. And if you want to test your movie in a browser, it's Command or Control Enter. And that will launch the browser, and you can see your animation has now popped in. So there you go. There's a quick start to animation. We can quit the browser. In this lesson, I've demonstrated how to bring assets into Edge Movies by simply dragging them in from the desktop or using the import menu. I've also shown you how to move elements around, how to use items in the library, and how to use the various properties on the Properties panel. I've also shown you how to animate using keyframes and the pin. Finally, we looked at how to copy and paste an animation from one element and apply it to a number of elements.